Hey there, everybody. Welcome. This is Whistlekick, Martial Arts Radio, episode 501. Today, I'm giving you my top 5 predictions on the future of martial arts. My name's Jeremy Lesniak. I'm your host here for the show. I'm the founder of Whistlekick, and everything we do at Whistlekick is in support of the traditional martial arts. If you're interested in what we're doing to that end, visit whistlekick.com. That's where you'll find everything we're doing. It's the place to find our store, and if you use the code PODCAST15, you can save 15% off anything that you find over there. Now, this show, it gets its own website, whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. We put out 2 new episodes every week, and the goal of the show is to connect, educate, and entertain traditional martial artists throughout the world. If you want to show your appreciation for what we do, you can do quite a few things. You can make a purchase, like I referenced earlier. You could share this or maybe a different episode. Follow us on social media. We are at Whistlekick everywhere. You could tell a friend about what we're doing. Maybe pick up a book on Amazon. Check out one of our programs, which we're adding to all the time. Leave a review somewhere or support the Patreon. Patreon.com/Whistlekick. That's the place to go for that. You can support us monthly with as little as $2. But if you spend $5 more, you're going to get access to even more content. Stuff that we make exclusively for our Patreon supporters. When I sat down to do this episode, it had a few iterations. Originally, I was considering how we might talk about martial arts post-COVID-19, post-coronavirus, whatever you choose to call it. But I realized that that was just one influence on some things that I see coming. And so today, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I see on the horizon for the traditional martial arts. Now, I'm not putting any time frame on any of these, but I would say that, if we look 10 to 20 years out, this is what's coming. I am not Nostradamus. I'm not going to predict that these all absolutely come true, but these are my hunches. And I guess we can use the word prediction, but I really have no, dog in this fight, if you will. I hope that some of these come true. I hope some of them do not, in fact. But I'm interested to hear how people respond. We certainly can't ignore that COVID-19 has had an impact on the world and on martial arts schools. I've seen schools close. I've seen schools actually thrive as a result of these changes. And the reason I've resisted talking about this for so long is that it gets political. And let's face it, our news feeds and everything else that we're seeing right now is full of information and politics around the subject. And I don't want to be associated with any of that. But when we look at one impact of this virus specifically, we have to talk about it, and that is online training. I have no hard and fast numbers to go on, but I would estimate the majority, at least 2/3 of martial arts schools are teaching classes online, while I don't know anybody who is publicly teaching in person. I know that there are some things going on behind the scenes, that people are having private lessons. There are people defying orders, and I'm not speaking out one side or the other, because this is not going to be political. I'm not saying what should be or should not be. I'm merely responding to what is. But what is fascinating to me is the number of schools that have long criticized online training doing online training, and the number of martial artists saying that you can't learn anything online, and yet they're participating in these classes. I'm a member of a number of martial arts groups on social media, specifically Facebook, one of which we host. It's the Martial Arts Fun and Friends group. And over the past few weeks, I've posted a number of things in there really to get people's thoughts on what's going on. And when it comes to online training, one of the common threads that I see through people's commentary is that it's not as good, but it's better than they thought it would be. And then tacked onto that, it's not great for learning new material, but it can be really good for reinforcing and training old material. And this is what people have been saying about training on your own and learning from videos as long as I've seen those conversations. So yeah, while it's not ideal, it's better than nothing. And I think that that's an important thing to consider because it's not going away. There are martial arts schools that are able to host classes for people all over the world on maybe certain subjects. Or maybe if you want to learn something specific from a certain person, cool. Now you have an opportunity. Some of the prominent martial artists that we've had on this show have been teaching some things online and selling out, filling up their Zoom rooms, having 100 people participating in these online classes. And that's awesome. And I hope that that continues because anything that brings some revenue to martial artists, I think is a wonderful thing. But what happens in a few months or a year when we don't have a political or health reason, however you choose to look at it, for teaching online? What happens on the other side of this? Well, I think most things are going to go back to normal, but I think some martial arts school owners are going to see the opportunity to teach the things that they know really, really well. Now, that could be one-on-one training with people from all over the world. It could be one-on-one training with people who maybe they're traveling. Maybe it's reinforcing the classes that they have. Or maybe, I think for some, it becomes online only. It doesn't take complex math to figure out that building a reputation and then teaching 20 hours of private lessons to people all over the world who follow you turns into a pretty darn good income. And I think some people are going to see that opportunity and develop their following. Much like if you follow the fitness industry on social media, there are a lot of people doing that. There are people who get really popular showing off their physique on social media. They build a group around that, and some people in that group pay them for nutrition coaching or exercise coaching. And some of those people are making some pretty darn good money. Why shouldn't or why couldn't that happen for martial arts? Not only do I think it can, I think it will. My next prediction, I see a further split between the traditional martial arts and what some people will call reality-based or practical or whatever martial arts. We're right smack in the middle of this. You have people who are advocating simply for combat systems and others advocating for the entirety of martial arts curriculum, forms and meditation and all of that stuff that we consider to be older. Well, I suspect you know where I fall in my opinion on what I want, but we also know that, hey, I'm a big fan of people having the opportunity to train however they want. So if this split furthers, I think it just gives more opportunity for people. It's not what I want personally. It's not what I hope for, but it's okay. Third up, here's one I'm really hoping for. Rank and title matter less. And why is that going to happen? Because we continue to dilute the value. The more stripes people put on their belt at younger and younger ages, the less people will respect that. How special is it to meet a 10th degree black belt now versus 20 or 30 years ago? If you've been around a while, you know that when you were coming up, it was very rare. I've met quite a few of them. I've met 8th, 9th, 10th degree black belts in their 40s. Well, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but I'm saying that that creates some inherent pressure on adding more stripes. Because the very same system that led to people having that many stripes on their belt at that age is going to create a desire for people to separate themselves even further. And we have seen some martial arts systems go beyond 10 stripes. We're seeing 11 and 12, and I've even heard some things about systems with 15 stripes. If you meet someone in the future and they say that they have a 21st degree black belt, what's your initial reaction going to be? You're going to discount everything that they've told you or might tell you because it sounds ridiculous based on your understanding. At least it would to me. And so for that reason, I think we will go back to a much simpler ranking system where black belts might be held to 10, but I'm guessing even fewer. We might have student black belts and maybe black belts with instructor level, and then maybe master instructor or grandmaster. Maybe we're down to 3 or 4. And with that, titles will have to be less ridiculous, because how much would it make sense to say, oh, this is senior ultra uber great grand master with a black belt, right? It doesn't seem to line up, right? Those titles seem to come with the stripes. They come from the same place, the same psychology. So as we shed one, I think we'll shed the other. And couldn't come too soon. On that same sort of idea, number 4, I think style is going to matter less for some people, but I think it's also going to matter more for others. I think there will always be people who crave being part of a lineage and knowing how something was done historically. I think if you look at the HEMA, the historical European martial arts community, it's a great example. There are people who really enjoy unpacking those texts and understanding how things used to be done hundreds of years ago. And that process, that understanding is not only important, but it's relevant to their practice. And in part, it's that exploration that they take value from. I think we'll see the same sort of thing in traditional martial arts, but I think we'll also see plenty of other styles where that's not as important. Because if you look at martial arts today, you're seeing more and more blended styles, these mixtures of martial arts, not necessarily MMA, but people saying, we teach Kyokushin karate, and we also teach Muay Thai, and we teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, over time, we're seeing more and more schools that are kind of blurring the lines and teaching those different aspects to those different martial arts under one umbrella, one program. And some of them give them names, some of them don't. And I don't know that it matters if they're named in any particular fashion, but I think people will ultimately collect martial arts and teach what works for them to their students, because let's face it, that's how martial arts styles started. And my final prediction, and this is the one I hope happens the most, the values, the principles, the benefits of martial arts will be more widely, if not accepted, acknowledged. We're at this interesting time right now where people are quite often negative and cynical. And a lot of people don't have a strong sense of community beyond the walls of their home and the virtual walls of their social media. And I think at some point, social media is going to hit a wall of its own, and people realize, I like being around other people. I like learning things, and I like developing myself. Now, is that going to happen for everyone? No. But I think it will be more than we have today. And frankly, maybe in some small part, that will be because whistlekick works for it, because that is our goal. I want to see more people training. And I think it's going to happen. I believe it will happen. And I'm going to work to make sure that it happens. Because the more people training, the more they'll talk about the benefits of their training, and it creates a snowball effect. And hopefully that's a way that we can have a positive impact on the world as martial artists, and I, as Jeremy, can look at and say, I had a small part in that. And that would make me really happy. We haven't had a movie like Karate Kid in a while. Maybe it'll come from something like that. Somebody will put out some content that will take the world by storm, and people will say, that martial arts stuff is pretty great. Maybe I should check that out. And so there you are, my 5 predictions with a heavy dose of hope on some of them for what's coming to the traditional martial arts in the future. Remember, you can check out all of our episodes at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com, and I hope that you will leave some commentary, whether that's part of the Martial Arts Radio behind the scenes Facebook group or on the show notes page for episode 501, this episode, because I think there's a lot of discussion that could come of this, and I would love to see what other people think. If you're willing to support us in what we're doing, you've got some options. Use the code podcast15 to save 15% off at whistlekick.com. You can also share an episode, leave a review, tell a friend, or contribute to the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. And I hope if you see somebody out there in the world wearing a shirt or a hat, something with whistlekick on it, you say hello. Let's build some community and help push some of these predictions into reality. Remember our social media accounts, @whistlekick. And I love hearing from all of you. My email address, jeremy@whistlekick.com. Until next time, train hard, smile, and have a great day.